Go ahead, Andrew. I'll catch up to you.
Alrighty. Good evening, everybody. This is Andrew McLaughlin with the National Truck Driving School, and I want to welcome everybody to our live Tuesday night webinar. Tonight we have a great company on, TransAm, and we're going to talk to Mr. Jim Hammond from TransAm, and we're going to give you a chance to open up the microphones and ask him some questions live. Also with us tonight, we have Mr. Rob Nelson, and Rob has been here at the school for a little bit over 36 years, and he's helped thousands of men and women get into the trucking industry. How are you doing tonight, Rob?
I'm doing great, Andrew. Always a pleasure to be here, and I look forward, of course, for Jim. He's a great guest who knows a lot about the trucking industry.
Very good. Well, I still see that we have a bunch of people still signing in. So while we're waiting for those people, I just want to go over some of the little controls on your desktop or your laptop, or some of you may be watching it on your phone. I just want to tell you about the little controls we have here. The first one is number one is the microphone icon. If you guys are called in on the phones, there'll be a little telephone there and it'll be orange, it'll be X'd out. We are in a listen only mode for the first part of the webinar tonight. Okay, then we're going to open up the phone lines and we're going to give you a chance to ask questions live. And then we're going to, number two is the little hand icon. And I'm going to ask everybody to click on the little hand. And thank you. Very good. Excellent. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Paul. And I could put all of those hands down in one quick swipe, just like that. Number three is the questions box. Okay, number three is the questions box. If you don't want to ask questions live and you want to type your questions in, that's all well and good. We're going to watch the questions boards while we're here as well, and we will try to answer as many of the questions as you have, either about national training or with Jim Hammond at TransAm. Number four is the cam, the webcam. Okay, we're going to ask everybody to keep the webcams off tonight. We got a lot of people online, and when we have the webcams on, it takes up a lot of bandwidth, and some people in the more of those rural areas get bumped off. So we're not going to use those tonight. So that is the control panel. I want to talk a little bit about what we're going to talk about tonight, and that is who we are. And Rob, are you back?
Yeah, I sure am, Andrew, and I always like to talk about when we started back in '78 as a secondary vocational educational institution. National has always been committed to providing the strong curricula like they've always had and getting better all the time if that's possible. Programs here emphasize practical and usable skills, and these are always been blended with a relevant general education foundation. Caring environment, no doubt about that, Andrew. We've had that since you and I are out in the field, and of course, right to, the guys out in there who are doing the training. Everybody's close interaction. This is our thing. This is what made National, I think, more than anything else. Open door admission, Andrew. That's always
right. That's right. And then of course, Rob, we talk about the being the oldest private truck school.
Private school, yeah, state-of-the-art training facility. We've got a 1.25 mile multi-lane highway, of course, which is the only highway like this that's our own private highway that ensures safer and more efficient training. We've graduated over 38,000 students. Imagine since 1978, 38,000. That shows something right there, Andrew.
A lot of people. Rob, I get this question all the time. Why drive a truck for a living? And I know that you hear this all the time. And, people have so many of their own ideas why they want to drive a truck. Some just like to drive. Others want to go out and see the country. They want to get paid to do it. The reality, I think it all boils down to, the money is good. And, seeing the country is good. It all boils down to one thing, though, and that's the job security.
Yep.
There's such a huge shortage in the trucking industry today. So companies are really going out of their way to try to keep drivers there. So there's a lot of job security. Rob, remember 8 years ago, 10 years ago, we had this recession, depression, just kind of coming out of that.
You know,
And trucking didn't get hit, did it?
not at all. No, it didn't slow it down one bit, Andrew. They're
Right.
still hiring, still had the benefits, they had everything, really.
And
One of
then
the
we
few
talk,
industries that did that, though, too. I mean, it's just impossible.
yep. And then when we talk about trucking, there's lots of different types of trucking jobs. There's the over the road guys, there's the regional guys, there's the dedicated guys. Some people just want to drive local, and that's okay. And then you got your tankers, and you got your flatbeds, and you got your box trailers. Um, the, what's the ones that they go into the intermodal trucks?
Intermodal.
Yeah, so lots of different things there. Now at the school, Rob, what kind of trucks are they using at National?
Well, National carries a little bit of everything, Andrew, because we don't know who our students are going with. A lot of students don't know what kind of company they want to go with. So we've got the guys with the day cabs. Even we've got the for example, that's the first one. The sleepers are the next two. Conventional condos, which are really for cross country driving. Everything we've set it up with everything, even cab overs. But the big thing is, again, when the student comes out of here, he can drive a shift vehicle, or we even have automatics. So we carry the whole range, whatever it is. He doesn't have to worry about what kind of company he's going on with. We cover that, and
So
that's
basically 910s and automatics.
910s and automatics. That's it, of
Very
course.
nice.
The way it's set up. Now this is a beauty right here. This is a company vehicle, but look at the boy. I'll tell you something. That makes me really envious of thinking about getting back on the road. That is a beautiful inside of a company tractor. That's what they're running out there. It's probably a Freightliner, or it might be a Kenworth. Who knows? But look at the way it's set up for everything.
Rob, it's not the way it was 50 years ago when you were
Oh
driving
God,
them.
no, Andrew. It was just a bunk in the back, and you froze in winter, and winter didn't had no air conditioning, had no air ride seats, had no air ride springs. It was just something you held on to, but it was a job, and you had the same feel of today, but it was just so different. You had to be dedicated, that's for sure.
Yeah,
But
that's for sure.
isn't that set up? God, that's beautiful.
Now, they're also going with these air ride seats, the
Yes.
whole ergonomic thing and things like that. So,
What are the controls just on the seats, Andrew, down there?
yeah,
I mean,
very cool.
how many conditions and shapes and movements and backs and front? I mean, it's just set up so they don't want they want them to be comfortable out there. That's the big thing. Everything
Right.
is out
Just by a show of hands, how many people are thinking about maybe being an owner operator? Here's an owner operator's truck here. Um, I think it's too pretty to work in, but
there.
it's a
Yeah,
nice truck.
certainly is.
And it is a typical work truck right here. I
Yeah,
don't know
that
if
is
it's
the
a
work
stand.
truck right there. But this set for the second driver, he can turn his seat just like with those buttons underneath there. It goes electric right around, and that little table pulls out. He's got the TV, but that's a work table, of course. He's got his microwave up there on the other side, which we don't see. There's got a refrigerator and some of the other things that he might have, hookups to different.
Now, is this a double bunk here,
This is
Rob?
double bunk, yeah, he's got in there. And the new ones, Andrew, I see was the newest ones coming out, and that means most of the carriers today are running those, have the ladder that goes right up the side. He
Yep.
doesn't have to jump on one bunk to the other. So he goes right up there. It's very convenient. It even set back so the guy underneath, if he stands up, he doesn't hit his head. It's pretty neat. I was watching
Yeah.
that on TV the other night.
Yeah, the
But
2009 Freightliners are like that.
yeah,
And of course, here's the another owner operator truck, and
yeah,
here's an owner operator. He's got his logbooks right on his tablet.
right.
So he's look at the wood floors. How cool is that?
Beautiful, beautiful.
So a lot of different driving jobs out there: over the road, regional, dedicated, local. You got your tankers, you got your flatbeds, you got your um, long haul trailers, you got intermodal.
You know,
Um, so
containers.
lots of different things there. Containers, sure. The driver pay scale. Now, this is the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics 2017, 2018. So this is the newest information. General freight trucking, 43,520. Specialized freight trucking, 41 for 650, and wholesale trade 40,330. So it doesn't matter if you're making 700, 800, 900 bucks, $1,000 a week. That's pretty good money. Now, Rob, team drivers, when we talk about teams, they make a whole lot more money, don't they?
They sure do, Andrew, because when you're sleeping, you're getting paid. That's a big difference. So you can really rack up the miles and the dollar signs right there for you, right at one time. And we've got some great companies that do this, just like, tonight that we're seeing. So it's there. The big thing today is what the review of what we're looking for in driving, because we want to make sure that that student is set for his career, the driving record, his criminal background, physical abilities, of course. Administer the drug screen, very, very important. Unfortunately, we do have some students go amiss on that, and well, that's unfortunate because the company is gonna do it we want to know before he embarrasses himself to get to the company. Most important, we want to know that your intensity to succeed is right there for you. We ensure you can benefit from the training before you even start. You're actually going on with the company. Are you employable? Those are the three words right there, Andrew. There's no
Right.
sense in doing anything if you can't follow those three words.
Absolutely. And our program, Rob, ours is a 4-week resident hands-on training program. The first week, a lot of classroom. They're going to do defensive driving. They're going to do Department of Transportation rules, regulations, log books. They're going to do permits, things like that.
Right.
Weeks 2, 3, and 4, it's all outdoors. It's all out with their trucks. Every day they're going to do pre-trips on couple of different trucks. They're going to go around that 1.25 mile highway, upshifting and downshifting and learning how to stop. And of course, the backing pad, probably the hardest part of driving a truck. And I'm very proud of our students. We get compliments all the time that our students can all back up.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the second week, our students are ready to go out onto the public roadways. They're able to go out onto the public roadways. And then they'll do 4 or 5 road drives. Here's an instructor the very first week up with the student. They're going through all of the different gauges. And the student needs to know exactly where each gauge should be when he's shifting and things like that. Okay, and he's sitting there taking notes. Probably the best part of national training is this right here. And this is our
Sure is.
campus.
We're the only one that we've traveled all over and haven't found one even close to this, having our own 2-lane highway prior to going out to the actual road driving. This gives a chance for the student to develop skills and also develop, the anxiety to get out on the road and without having to feel that he's intimidated by going through these little places, these little 6 and 10 acre areas that we've seen other schools have. But we want to make sure that he can get the shifting down right. And that little area right there, for example, that's our backing and docking pads. Those are the 3 backing where you're coming in on the left side and also your blind side. Then on the other side, of course, this is where we're going to be hooking up and docking, right in that one area where Andrew's a pointer. And, hooking up the airlines, making sure you know about the sliding fifth wheels, all these things. These are all going to be done at that spot. Over here, we're going to do pre-trip. Pre-trip is, of course, part of your whole deal there. If you don't know how to pre-trip, you're not going to pass the course. But it's a matter of just practice and learning. This is a school, and you're going to do it too. Then in that area right there, we're going to set up cones, and you're going to back down through them about 70 feet without knocking them down. It's a skill, and everybody enjoys the school because it's like playing games. You're in control right there. And of course, don't forget the road time. We're going to be out on that highway there. You're going to start driving for the next 3 weeks, and this is going to be it. We're going to develop that road time. Everything is going to be right there at the school. Remember, we're third-party testing. This is where you're going to get it, right at the school. You're going to walk out there with a CDL and a job of your choice.
Rob, speaking about jobs, career service is probably one of the top things that we do. Our placement rate is in the high 90s, 97, 98%, something like that.
Right.
And we've been perfecting this graduate to work program for a little over 38 years. I think you were one of the guys originally in that, talking to the companies. Back in those days, 35 years ago, companies didn't want to hire students.
No, very limited at those days too, Andrew.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just suspicious. They didn't know them. They didn't know it. Most of the guys coming off were guys off the farms and so forth, were operating machines, and that was about it.
So very first day we're starting on placement. We have different companies that come in, and Jim Hammond from TransAm, he comes in to many of the classes and visits with them. Either at lunchtime or at the 3 o'clock break, and they talk about why you should go to work for TransAm. We do a lot of one-on-one private counseling sessions. We direct you to the companies that might be a good fit for you. We'll tell you a little bit about all of these different companies that come in, and maybe you'd be a good match for them. We also have our own job board. Okay, so um, anybody that like TransAm is one of our featured companies. So they got some stars around them on our job board. All the people that come on our webinars get that. And then of course uh, we go out and scour the internet for jobs that'll be on there, and then we'll actually give you a history of the company. So we'll do all the research for you, right down to even the human resources people. So we do a lot of work in the background on all of the jobs that we put up on our board. I get this question a lot: where do I stay? And the simple answer is you can stay anywhere you want, but if you're looking for the best deal, we suggest the Green Cove Springs Inn. It's located within 7 miles from the training facility. It comes with a microwave, refrigerator, free cable, HBO, free Wi-Fi, and they give special rates to national training students. So the rooms are double occupancy, so you share a room with another person. It's $702 for the 4 weeks, or about $26 a night. You can't really beat that. So the cost, the fees, the financing for this program, $64.95. If you need financing, pretty much most students pay for it up front. They put it on a credit card. If you don't have that kind of money to go to school, don't count yourself out. We go through the different financing plans. We work with different banks, with different credit unions. We work with different financing companies. So we'll walk you through that status. After all, we've been doing this for a very, very long time. It's all good. We have it all. We have the companies, we have the jobs, we have the industry recognition, we have impeccable governmental relationships, we have guaranteed tuition financing for everyone. So as long as we can get you a job, we can help you. We have over 38,000 graduates that possibly came here before you tonight. We have a program that's really fun to complete, but most of all, we have that awesome training facility, 350 acres, mile and a quarter track, backing pad, lots of trucks. And our classes are small, 8 to 12 students in a class. Okay, so we don't pack the classes like these other schools do. We appreciate all of our students from the Department of Veterans Affairs. We are licensed to serve veterans. The Department of Vocational Rehab programs, all of our state voc rehab offices from around the country, all the state workforce boards from around the country that send their people to us, and all the different Indian tribes that pay for their students, and they use us because they know what they're getting here at National. And National Training is where the trucking companies come for new drivers. And I want to introduce Jim Hammond with TransAm. How you doing tonight, Jim?
Hey, Jim.
Jim, you there? Jim, you there? Jim Hammond? He was here just a bit ago.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about TransAm. Rob, I don't know what happened to Jim.
Yeah. I know.
Okay. Um,
We got anything there for us?
did you see? Is it up on your screen?
Just says a noble purpose. That's it. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Let me
it's the start of it.
go back up here and we'll take a look.
There it is.
All right. So let me move some of this stuff out of my way. I was going to let Jim talk about this. So it looks like TransAm was founded back in 1987. TransAm Trucking earned its status as a premier carrier in the temperature-controlled freight industry by providing customers um, They were,
I understand, Andrew, the founders of TransAm were actually ex-drivers who did this, so they know the industry very, very well. That's one of the things that I knew about them.
is this the company that's driver owned or no?
Can you
I'm
hear me
not,
now?
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I've just been I mean, I've heard everything y'all have said, and somehow or another I couldn't get through. I mean, you couldn't hear me, but you hear me now?
I
hear
can
you
hear you.
nice
Go
and
ahead.
clear.
Tell
Yeah.
us about Trans Am.
Well, it's the first time I've been on one of these, so I
Okay.
basically can start with telling them where we're located. I mean, how many people don't know about Trans Am? Are there people out there that have
Oh
never
yeah,
even
yeah,
heard
yeah.
of it?
We have people online tonight that are potential students. We have people on here that have graduated. We have people here that didn't go to our school who come on every week to find out about different companies.
Okay.
Uh, we have some veterans
Well,
out there as
well,
well.
Trans Am's located just south of Kansas City. That's where our headquarters are in Olathe, Kansas. We have a secondary terminal in Rockwall, Texas, just east of Dallas. And Trans Am, we're known in the business as meat haulers. We haul meat out of the slaughterhouses in the Midwest, and we haul east and west, east to the east, all the way to the East Coast, and west all the way to the Rockies. We used to go to California. We kind of cut that out. We've got a list of people that have volunteered to go to California, but the problem with California is when we go over there, sometimes you wait a day or so to get a load coming back, and we pretty much you're going to average 3,000 miles a week, and it's hard to average 3,000 if you're sitting in California for a day or two.
For sure.
Right.
So I always had my golf clubs and my mountain bike on the truck, and so I didn't mind going to California because then I could beat up on all my old Navy buddies when I got out there on the golf course.
Okay.
But anyway, all of our trucks are T680 Kenworths. They're all automatic. They all have APUs. They got 2 bunks. They got inverters. They got TVs with the NFL ticket, DirecTV, HBO. We pay well. We have different levels of drivers. You can be a company driver. You can be an independent contractor and lease a truck, or you can be an owner operator. The pay is a little different each, depending on which one. But our training program's only 3 weeks. You show up for orientation on a Wednesday. You do 3 days intensive orientation. Then you go out with a coach for 2.5 weeks. You get brought back to either the Texas or Kansas location, depending on where your truck's going to be. You do maybe a day, day and a half of testing out. And 3 weeks after you've started orientation, you're in a truck earning mileage pay.
Very good.
What kind of money can a first year driver at Trans Am make?
Well, I just give them the numbers, and it depends on how much they take home time. But I mean, if you look at it, we have a $2,500 sign-on bonus. After a year, you get an extra $100 a month, but the pay runs from 31 cents starting out to 41 cents. It goes up 2 cents a mile. And just thinking when you're starting, if you're doing 3,000 miles at 31 cents a mile, you're getting $930 a week, less your taxes, just starting out as a brand new driver.
Very nice.
So if you do the math and you multiply 930 times, say, 42 or whatever, weeks, because I don't know how much time you're going to take off, but let's say you do 48 weeks, then just do the math and you can kind of get a ballpark on where the high water mark is. And then, I don't really quote what they make because it all depends on how well they do, how industrious they are. I tell them to stay away from 3 places: too much home time, don't go to the casinos, and stay away from the buffets and the truck stop.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Okay. So what are some of the other benefits that Trans Am offers their drivers?
Well, as a company driver, you can sign up for 401k. You can have health insurance. Just the normal thing that you would do for any company where you were working for a company and getting paid on a W-2. Okay. As an independent contractor, you're basically paid on a 1099, so it's all on you. And you end up having to put aside for your quarterly estimated taxes, and then you do whatever you're going to do yourself based on who you can get, your insurance through. But
Right.
all of that when they put in an online application and they hear back from the recruiting department, they're prepared to send you a itemized list of what you can sign up for at orientation. I don't have all that information. Sometimes it's a moving target, so I just say give them your email address or your fax number, and you can have that information pretty quickly from somebody that's got more information than I do.
Okay. And then the colored in areas is where you guys cover. So basically Florida to.
Yeah, I'm right, and I'm not looking at what you're looking. I'm just on my phone sitting in the parking lot here in
Okay.
St. Augustine. So, but we do Denver East. I mean, we go up to Cheyenne, Wyoming. We don't do Montana. We every now and then we'll get North Dakota, but we'll go through South Dakota and up into Minnesota, and from Colorado and New Mexico, we go down to like Albuquerque, and then we'll come across all the southern states. I mean, you can go anywhere you want. You don't have to relocate. It's just, I started in 2003. I just retired in 2017. And the only time I left Trans Am was at the end of my second 4-year lease. I bought my truck, and so I went to Landstar for 2 years. And once I sold that truck, when it had 1 million miles on it, I went back to Trans Am until I retired. And then I tried quitting again, and they gave me this job.
All right. Well, that's pretty good. This is kind of a cool job to have. You and what you do is you go around to a lot of the different schools. You go to the military bases, right?
Right. I haven't been to too many military bases, but I've done schools, community colleges, tech colleges between Miami and all the way up to Baltimore so far, and all the way west to Nashville and Birmingham and Mobile, Alabama. So I'm everywhere. I bought a car September 28th. I just traded it. I'd had it 10.5 months, and I'd already put 49,000 miles on it on a car.
Wow, pretty nice.
But they pay me pretty well.
I was going to ask
I'm
you
sorry? Okay.
What do you run out of Florida? You said swing and beat, or they don't do swing and beat.
Well, we run we don't do out of the Midwest, out of Dodge City,
right,
out of Holcomb, Kansas, out of Freona and Cactus, Texas, out of Nebraska and Iowa. We run east or west. When we get east, like if we have a load going into Atlanta, we'll unload, and then we'll go up to like Cartersville to Anheuser-Busch and pick up a beer load, or we'll go up to Dalton and pick up a load of carpet to get back to Kansas. And then what'll happen is somebody will bring a load from one of the meat houses to the terminal there in Olathe, and then we'll pick it up and bring it back east or head west or whatever. So we east and west, we haul meat, and then whenever we get empty, we get whatever they can get for us going back. When we come to Florida, we always, pretty much 90% of the time, go down to Auburndale and Leesburg and pick up orange juice out of the Coke locations there and haul them back west.
Right, yeah, that's what I thought you might do, yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. So if somebody online with us tonight wants to get more information, put in an application, are they best off doing it right online, or should they call you direct?
No, they should. When I have the class, I always hand out my business card, and I say that's the most important thing they'll get, because they've got my phone number, but they've also got the website. It's TransAmTruck.com, and you go on there to get started, and you put in an online application, and as soon as you do, within the next business day, and if it's early enough in the day, you'll get a call from the recruiting department to start things going.
Okay. And we're just showing that right now.
Right.
And the applicant follow up. And let's talk about how important it is. We get a lot of people that go in and put applications in, but then they don't follow up.
Well, again, as soon as they put in the application, they will get a call from the recruiting department.
No, I know they will. TransAm. I'm talking about drivers not following up.
Oh, the drivers don't follow up? Yeah, and I don't know why, because the recruiters, they're wanting to get new drivers, and if a guy doesn't follow up, I mean, he's only shooting himself in the foot because he's got a job if he puts in the application.
Right. And that's important, like for all the students that are online. You gotta walk the walk the talk.
That's right.
So,
Well, I'll tell you, the two things that you have to really do when you're out there as a trucker, the two things you've got to remember, and I just forgot the first one. No, the two things, number one is you've got to always be on time. I drove for 13 years and I never missed a load. The only time I missed was when Mother Nature shut me down. And as soon as you send in a message saying you feel unsafe, TransAm picks up the ball and they'll contact the shipper or receiver and let them know that we've had to shut down because of weather. And then they'll just reschedule you for a later time. The other thing is, and I don't understand it, but there are drivers out there that abandon their vehicles. If you're going to quit, I quit 4 times. I quit TransAm 3 times. I quit Landstar once, but I was going to different things, different other jobs. But I always gave my notice, and I always took my equipment back to where I picked it up, and then I either flew or rented a car. If you abandon a vehicle, you will never drive anywhere else unless you're driving for your Aunt Susie or your Uncle Joe.
Right. Yeah.
yeah, that's for sure.
That's for sure. We've heard that before.
Yep. Well, I want to open up the microphone and see if anybody has any questions. You just raise your hand, and then I'll open your microphone. Or if you like, go ahead and type your question in on the question board. Okay, this is from Mike from Fort Polk. He wants to know, do you have an OJT program at TransAm?
Not that I know of. I know that you go to orientation, you go out with a coach for 2.5 weeks, you come back for a day and a half, test out, you get your truck. You got 3 weeks of extensive, in the classroom and then out with the coach. And I don't know how you get OJT. That's just,
Mike,
I don't even know what that is.
Give me a call about it's basically it's a VA program where they run down there.
Okay,
yeah.
We have a $6,000 reimbursement for your cost of getting through your training and getting your CDL up to $6,000, but we don't have in place yet the veterans deal where it can be part of your VA benefits. And I think that's in the works, but I won't swear to it. But that's some of the information they can ask the recruiter after they put in their application.
And Mike, you can talk to us about that. We do a lot of veterans through the school here, and we'll walk you through it through the veterans office. Okay.
I'm a veteran, and I know that needs to be done.
Yep.
But as far as I know, it hasn't been. Okay, but they did listen to me and start a $2,500 sign-on bonus. It's paid in 4 payments. Every 90 days, you get a payment of $625. So at the end of the year, you'll have gotten your $2,500.
Okay. Melissa from South Bay wants to know if you have a pet policy.
We do, and I don't like it, but we do have one. You get a fully refundable. You put in a fully refundable deposit, but TransAm doesn't know if that pet is a German Shepherd or a saber-toothed tiger or it's like a little putty cat. So they charge you pretty extensively to get. It costs you $2,500. It's fully refundable. You don't have to pay it all at once, but you do have to have it all paid before the pet gets on your truck.
Wow. Okay. Let me ask you something. I don't think we talked about it yet. Are you guys driving as teams, or are you driving solo, or both?
TransAm?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you can drive solo or you can drive team. The only thing that TransAm frowns on is 2 people coming to orientation, not knowing each other. They hook up in orientation and they decide they want a team together. TransAm won't let you do that. What you do is you come after getting your CDL, and I'll use me as an example. I had mine and I drove for a year or 2, and when I remarried, my wife got her CDL, and when she came through orientation, instead of going out on a coach's truck, I swung by there and picked her up, and I trained her. But I had a year or so under my belt.
Right. Okay. Good. And that brings up another question here. We have a lot of veterans, and veterans become great trainers down the road. Are there training positions available at TransAm? Or
TransAm always
coaches.
yeah, right. and actually I still use the term coach. I think now they've changed it to where they call them mentors.
Yep.
But, but yes, we're always looking for coaches. And the thing is, when I coached, I've heard some stories out there from some of the places I went in Virginia and Maryland where there's a coach that's out there that's also doing some recruiting. And he said, oh, yeah, he says, I coach. And he says, I make all kinds of money because we drive as a team when he's on my truck. And I found out the guy's name and got him relieved of duty because how can you be coaching if you're teaming?
Right.
No, so when you get out there after orientation, it's like Clint Eastwood. There's the good, the bad, and the ugly. We have really good coaches. We got some bad coaches, and pretty much all of us are pretty ugly by this time. But the thing is, if you get a bad coach, you already have met the people in training and development during orientation. Don't let somebody else who's doing a halfway job ruin your start to your career, and contact training and development, and they'll put you in with a coach that knows what he's doing. We're trying to weed out the riffraff.
Very good. Okay, Charles says that he has a felony 5 years ago. Would that keep him from getting a job?
No. What it won't guarantee that he won't get a job. I can't say that he will get a job, but what he needs to do, he needs to talk to recruiting because they treat every situation individually. So, if he just, if it's 5 years ago, I'm saying he's almost sure he's going to get employed. But again, I can't answer it because I'm not into, but when he talks to recruiting, they can answer him right because they take every situation, step by step. They look at each one.
Okay,
case by case. That's what I was looking for.
We got a couple more questions like that. That's going to be basically the same answer, guys. You got to give recruiting a call, put the application in. They will walk you through the steps.
I would tell them if they're concerned about that, just call the recruiting number even before you put in the application and just ask them, instead of going through all that to put in the application, they'll probably say, put in your application and we'll get back to you. But, if you tell them right up front your name's O.J. Simpson, you probably won't get a job.
Right. All right. Well, I think we're cleared on the board. No hands are up.
Right.
Jim, I want to thank you for telling us all about TransAm, a wonderful company. I believe we have a bunch of students working over there at TransAm. So we're very happy about that.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. And the thing is, if they come to your class and I'm there, they get my card, and whether they go to work for TransAm or somebody else, the reason, I'm not independently wealthy, but I don't have to work. I do this on a part-time basis because I want to help new drivers and I know what I'm talking about. And they can call me 10 years from now if I haven't already, kicked the bucket, and they can ask me questions and use me as a resource, whether they go to work for TransAm or some other company. Because TransAm's a good company. We do things a little bit different with the equipment and what you can do and how you can lease and whatever. But there are other companies out there that are, that are good companies, and I don't want you to miss the boat and not have my business card. So if you need to get my phone number from Andrew, you've got my permission, Andrew, to give it to him.
Very good. Well, thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on. All righty.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right. Are we done?
Yeah, we're done. Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
Everybody. Next week, we have Schneider coming on. And Schneider, a little bit bigger company, and they basically have every part of the trucking industry covered. So if you want to do a flatbed, you want to do tankers, you want to do intermodal, you want to do oil fields, you want to go to Canada, you want to go to Mexico. Pretty much they have lots of different things. Now the difference between those kind of companies is TransAm, they're going to know your name. Where in some of these other companies, maybe not so much. So August 28th, we have Schneider coming on, Rob, and then of course September the 15th, Rob, we have another open house.
Very good.
Which I think is next No, there's no open house on September 15th. That's tomorrow. Oh, no, tomorrow's August. No,
Well,
tomorrow's August 15th. Whew,
yeah, right,
I got worried.
right. I imagine.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for attending tonight's show, National Training Truck webinar. Contact your representative or admissions office first thing tomorrow. 1-800-488-7364. Your lost time is costing you big money. It's all good. Just make sure you call. Well, tell everybody how to get out of the webinar tonight.
Real easy, guys. Just hit file up there, number 2, and drop down, hit exit, and leave webinar, and you'll be right out. And good having you, and hope you can make it to our next one, Schneider's Excellent Carrier. Okay? Good night now. Have a great week.
Hold on, Rob. I have to shut this recording down. It's not letting me shut the recording off. I think this is how I lost you the last time. It won't let me stop it. I don't know why.
We got nobody on now. So.
Yeah, I know, but I still need to stop it.